In regard of the Brazilian crime conundrum, we stand at an historical crossroad. The problem of organized crime no longer fits in police pages. It has overflowed. And what is at stake today is not only public security, but a national sovereignty issue. The uncomfortable question is if Brazil is going to be a narco state, a proxy state, or still a sovereign state, or even become a sovereign state. Because the answer defines whether we will be a nation or a territory managed by parallel powers. The fact is that the country's largest factions, the PCC and the Red Command, they are no longer gangs. They operate as transnational holdings. They have presence on 5 continents, war arsenals, a parallel justice system, and consolidated territorial control. It's not a classic organized crime. It's undeclared insurgency against the state itself, which was installed in the vacuum left by decades of abdication of sovereignty. The root of this vacuum is, of course, in politics. The Brazilian state apparatus is fragmented and at many levels co-opted. Campaign financing, voter coercion, parliamentary offices used as crime headquarters. We are no longer talking about isolated corruption. We are talking about institutional capture. And when we have a state that is accomplice to crime, it's hard not to lose sovereignty to external invaders because it dissolves from within. The geopolitical consequences, well, the PCC has a strategic partnership with the Italian mafia and has turned the port of Santos into the main cocaine corridor of Europe. The Red Command, Comando Vermelho, expands violently across the Amazon. And in this architecture, Brazil is not a sovereign state. It is a passive territory upon which illicit chains are operating. And this vacuum of authority is not merely observed by the great powers, it's weaponized, and the United States has an historical playbook by translating Ibero-American criminality into a legal pretext for intervention. The case of Panama, the case of Colombia, and most recently the radical case of the kidnapping of Nicolás Maduro, president of Venezuela. So the line between law enforcement and regime change is erased by the United States through these mechanisms. And the same script is approaching Brazil. The Kingpin Act sanctions against the PCC are not isolated measures. They are a first legal step towards the designation as a foreign terrorist organization. And once the PCC and Comando Vermelho are officially terrorists, the same logic that landed Marines all over Ibero-America could authorize direct action against the Brazilian soil, against an unwilling or unable state. So therein lies a paradox. Brazil needs to crush the criminal insurgency in a social and geopolitical level. But the state's inefficacy in doing so is precisely what fuels the pretext for foreign interference. So we have all around us governments aligned with Washington, occupying Ibero-American capitals and becoming pieces on this chessboard. So the only way out of this war of financial and political asphyxiation against the Brazilian state is to cut the arteries of these factions, conducted mainly through sovereign intelligence. And the truth is the time has run out. The pretext for intervention is already written and drafted by a state that can no longer defend its monopoly on force. So the question on Brazil organized crime is, will we be a sovereign state? Will we be a narco state? Or will it just be, the stage of a foreign operation? The answer depends on what government comes next after these year's elections.